could get Commissioner Clayton to do our invocation for us, please.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, please be with us as we go about this meeting tonight. Be with all of those here that have business before us. Please be with our young men and women as they go about doing their duty, particularly in foreign lands, to allow us to have meetings like this. In thy holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And we've got Troop 223 here. If we could get you guys to lead our Pledge of Allegiance, we'd appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Item number 1 on our agenda is a public hearing. It's the appropriation of county general funds to Person County. Oh, excuse me. Is there any discussions or adjustments of the agenda?
Move for approval.
All right, we got a motion on the table to approve. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're at public hearing. Item number 1, appropriation of county general funds to Person County Business and Industrial Center to assist Project RE to locate in Person County with a greater financial grant incentive over a 10-year period at an estimated cost of $850,000. Mr. Gilbert.
Yes, sir. This is
Enter into public hearing. All right, we got a motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Mr. Gilbert, sorry.
Yes, sir. This is for a manufacturing company that is looking at 263 jobs, a net new taxable assessed valuation over a 5-year period of $32.5 million. They're looking at jobs in year 1, 22 jobs, total jobs year 2, 74, total jobs by year 3, 131, total jobs by in year 4, 192, and total jobs by year 5, 263 jobs. The financial incentive is estimated about $151,000 based on basically taking their capital investment and putting it in a spreadsheet, as you have seen in the past, at the proposed tax rate of 0.6818, which is the one that is up for a vote later on tonight. And, you know, it would be the same process as you all have seen in the past, where the company would pay their taxes, and after all the liabilities are paid by the company, then the first year of the cash grant would be provided.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. For Mr. Gilbert.
I'd be happy to just make a quick clarification, if I may. You're not actually voting on the tax rate tonight. Tonight is your public hearing for the budget, and the way that we've structured the incentive payments is that if you've agreed to the amount of $850,000, we will adjust the formula based on whatever the tax rate is to give you that total amount. So there may be some variation in the annual payment depending on the tax rate.
Yeah, it currently, if it was at 70 cents, it would be about $21,500 more, you know, without adjusting it. So we made the adjustments already with county manager's approval.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Total jobs by year 5 was 263?
Yes, sir. And the final financial incentive agreement would be with PCBIC, so the proposal would be as you have done in the past, which would be to provide funds to PCBIC, and then PCBIC, the nonprofit group, would provide those directly to the company.
Any further questions for the staff or Mr. Gilbert? We have any more? No speakers. Okay. Hearing that no one signed up to speak and no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
All right, we got a motion on the table to come out of public hearing. Item number 2, consideration to grant or deny Did we take a vote?
Question for clarification. The clawback agreement, will it be with the county or PCBIC?
Stuart, the clawback agreement with the county or with PCBIC? I don't want to answer incorrectly.
It's with PCBIC.
So the whole contract is structured through PCBIC. You're simply funding the payments through them, but the actual contract would be with them, so they would enact the clawback.
So it's like it's been done for the last 6 years, 7 years. No difference from the force protection clawback.
Yes, that's a different
Thought we
beast
gotta wait.
entirely. That was done with the county.
Okay.
All in favor of coming out of public hearing, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Item number 2, consideration to grant or deny request to appropriate estimated $850,000 to the Person County Business and Industrial Center Incorporated to assist Project RE to locate in Person County.
Move to grant the request.
Okay, we got a motion on the table to grant the request. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Public hearing number 2, which is item number 3, the request by the Person County Address Coordinator to add Redfield Lane to the database of roadway names used for E911 dispatch, and not entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
All right, we got a motion to go into public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Ms. Vaughn.
Good evening. As you know, a public hearing is required to add a road to the list of road names we service with our 911 services within the county. A developer has contacted us and would like to put 4 new homes on a road that has already been built but has yet to be named within an existing subdivision. No existing addresses are going to be changed and no residents will be affected. We're doing this one kind of ahead of the development, so no residents who wind up living out there have to change their addresses, a year or 2 down the road. And they are building these homes by sometime in July. The primary property owner has chosen the name of Redfield Lane, which is compliant, and I would recommend to approve the recommended roadway name.
Any questions for Ms. Vaughn or staff?
Move to come out of public hearing.
I got a motion to come out of public hearing. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we didn't have anyone speak. All right. Item number 4, consideration to grant or deny the request by Person County Address Coordinator to add Redfield Lane to the database of roadway names used for E911 dispatching. Do I have any motions on the table for this?
Move to grant the request.
We've got a motion on the table to grant request. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing item number 5, establishing the Person County Fire Protection Service District, Mr. Russell Jones. Could I get a motion to go into public hearing, please?
So moved.
Got a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Jones, now you're ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to set the stage for the public hearing for the fire tax. There are a couple of things different about a fire tax public hearing than your normal public hearing. One item that was very different with this is we had to send out notices to all affected property tax owners. We sent out just under 20,000 notices in the form of postcards. You instructed the tax office to do that on your April 23rd meeting. We had to do it 4 weeks prior to this hearing, and we're happy to report that we were able to get those out on May the 1st, which did meet your 4-week public hearing designate time. We actually did it 34 days prior. We set up a county website that had a FAQ that answered a lot of questions. We set up a hotline to answer questions that citizens had. We had very little response to either one of those, and I think most people were happy with the answers they received. This public hearing needs to focus around 4 things. So after hearing the public comments, the board needs to determine if there's a distributable need for providing one or more of the services in the district. that it's impossible or impractical to provide this service on a countywide basis, that it is economically feasible to provide the proposed service in the district without unreasonable or burdensome annual tax levies, and that there is a demand for these services. So after hearing the public comment, if you feel that those 4 items are met, you can move forward with setting up a county fire protection district. What is not necessary tonight is to determine the tax rate that has to be tied to this. That could be done tonight if you chose to, but probably very appropriate to have that as part of your regular budget discussions. You could do either one. There is a resolution attached to your packet, a resolution prepared by my staff, that could be adopted with the county attorney approval if you feel these 4 items have been met. And I know you don't want to hear from me, so if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Questions or concern for?
Postcards, how many phone calls did your office receive?
Okay, the actual number of postcards we sent out was just under 20,000, 19,732. We had 28 phone calls that came in through the fire tax hotline. There were numerous others that came on the regular line, people who walked in the front door to make a payment and ask questions. We had the website, but we did not have a counter on the website, so I don't know how many people visited that. The return mail rate was very well. We had less than 2% bad addresses, which is great considering that we're using addresses that were up to 12 months old from DMV and the tax office combined. And we even mailed to addresses that we knew people were passed away, just to make sure we met the certification. And I was able to sign off the certification this afternoon with the clerk certifying that I feel the mailing was done correctly.
So Russell had about 28 phone calls. How many did staff have associated with this? Total?
It was one hotline monitored by both tax office and county manager's office.
To 28 total calls for the whole county staff.
Thank you, Russell. Any further questions, concerns for Russell or the staff? All right, thanks, Russell.
Thank you.
At this time, we've got 7 public comment signees, and we typically will do approximately 2 minutes apiece. So each person coming up will get 2 minutes. At the 2-minute mark, I will let you know. Please button up your comments at the 2-minute mark if you're still going. And this is going to be held for in favor and against. So we'll start out with Mr. Tony Rush. If you would, come to the podium, state your name and your address. Thank you. Go
I
ahead.
won't use the whole 2 minutes so somebody can have 3. I'm here to encourage you about the fire tax, how much we need it, and how long we have needed it. I have one thing that bothers me between what I've read in the paper and other things that have been heard. I know that we're supposed to be getting from the state legislature $100,000 for turnout gear for the fire departments. If that's going to be put into the general fund and added to the $1 million that we're getting for the fire departments, what happens next year when you don't have that $1 million? And it's concerning a lot of people. A lot of people have voiced this question. I know on the blogs that I've been reading throughout the community, there's been a lot of question about this, and a lot of us would like to get it clarified. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mike Smith, podium, and state your name and address, please.
Mike Smith, 543 Hillsborough Road, Timberlake. Commissioners, county manager, staff, thank you for this opportunity to come before you and speak on this issue. I am in support of the fire tax. I know this process has been more complicated than it should have been. The fire tax has been needed. Again, nothing is free anymore. You have to pay for it. And I know you pride yourselves on not raising taxes over the several years you've been here. But sooner or later, it's going to catch up, and that money's got to come from somewhere. But again, we in the fire departments do not have a budget from year, well, don't have the money, designated money from year to year to be able to plan a budget or have a long-term plan, long-range plan and goals. And to be able to do that, we need to know what we're going to get every year. And so I encourage you to please look at other ways, again, of getting this fire tax passed to totally fund the fire departments within Person County. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Daniel Tizen, I apologize if I said it wrong.
Daniel Tizon, 667 Weldon Painter Road, Timberlake. Good evening, members of the board and County Manager York. I hope you all are doing well, and I thank you for this opportunity to have this conversation with you tonight. I'm usually the quiet guy in the back of the room, but I have some very important information for you. Please note that the people behind me would probably say I have the attention span of a 4-year-old, so I promise I'll make this short. Like I said, my name is Daniel. I'm a firefighter first responder with Timberlake Volunteer Fire Department, and I also assist in 2 emergency management agencies in North Carolina. I'm only 18, but the most important thing I want you to know about me is that I am a Person County resident. I'm here tonight because I would like to thank you for your dedicated time and effort in finding solutions to the insufficient funding our VFDs and Rescue Squad has had in the past. I would like to introduce to you a concept that Dr. Lane Perry, the Director of Service Learning at Western Carolina University, has taught me. People don't care about what you do, it's why you do it. When people figure out why you do something, they're more likely to be inspired and pass it on. For example, when people find out that I'm a firefighter, they think it's cool, and then we call it a day. But then some ask why. Ladies and gentlemen, I became a firefighter to serve others, to be one of the few that can do something when others don't, to reach out, to make a difference, and to be the reason why a kid smiles every time he sees a fire truck. Here's my point tonight. Forget for a moment that I and the people in this room are firefighters. Just forget it. Realize that everyone in this room are Person County citizens. And as residents here, when we hear the word tax or anything similar, we get scared, but then we figure out why. We and thousands more realize that with a county growing in economy, residents, and visitors, unfortunately, more emergencies happen. However, with increased funding, fire departments and EMS work together to mitigate and even lower the number or severity of these emergencies. We also realize that the counties grow around us too, and the counties around us have implemented a fire tax or something similar to accommodate their growth. With our funding, we will improve our departments, we will strive to lower home insurance rate, and we will strive to do our jobs more effectively and safely. Our jobs also so happen to be our why, and our why is to save life and property.
2 minutes, but continue since the others were shorter.
Our why is also a family's house protected, a son or daughter saved. Our why is a more informed and prepared community, and yes, our why is also the kid who smiles every time he sees a fire truck. To the elected officials and citizens of this great county, by supporting our why, you're also supporting Person County and their whys. Their whys of why they choose to live in this county in a place where, say it with me, everything is better in person. Thank you.
Thank you. James Poole.
Good evening, everyone. I had a few questions.
State your address, please.
James W. Poole, 6070 Leesburg Road.
Thank you.
I had a few questions on the fire taxes. And I reckon my main question is everyone in the county in a fire district?
I would assume so.
I was told we wasn't in a fire district.
Everybody's in the district as far as coverage, but as far as your 6-mile range to receive, I think the
discount in
your homeowner's insurance, you may be outside that 6-mile range, but you still consider, you have a department assigned to you for coverage.
Correct. And
according to what I was told, we wasn't.
We have a contract with the city that allows for them to come to any call. So it may take longer, but we have the coverage set up as it is today, as Mr. Jeffers already said.
Everyone falls within a district. Some people may be in a rating area of a 10 versus a 9S, perhaps that falls,
I'm in a 10.
right.
And the reason I went to my insurance place, and they told me I wasn't in a fire district. They sent me to see the fire chief. And when I went to see him, he said, no, I was not in a fire district.
I know. Doug? Yeah, we believe you're talking about the ISO rating.
The what?
The insurance.
insurance.
Insurance premium versus whether you're in a district or not are two different things.
Well, that's the one I'm concerned
Yeah.
about.
Yes.
So, am I in a fire district?
Yes.
And which one?
Where do you
we can
you
help
live
you.
More
on
than likely,
Leesburg
more
Road?
than likely that,
67 in Leesburg.
more than likely that 10, so you may be paying a higher homeowner's insurance.
That's right.
But with the hope of this increased funding, all the departments are going to work towards lowering the ISO rating, and we're going to hopefully look at some of these no-man areas and see how we can get coverage there. I know we've talked about that in the past with some of the departments, maybe building a third department or a second department to help cover some of these areas. But somebody's coming if you call.
6070 would fall in the,
It's in the Olive Hill community.
oh, it would be
Cepho.
Hurdle Mills or Cepho, one of the two.
He's probably right between Hurdle Mills and Cepho.
That's right.
Well, see, 150,
Hurdle Mills District.
Yes, and that is a 10 rating. It's outside of our 6 miles from Vista Store Station, and it's also outside of 6 miles from Roxborough or Cepho.
Thank you. Thank
they
you.
said we wasn't in the Hurdle Mills district. They said the Hurdle Mills district said take 158. If you on the left side of 158, they say you was in Hurdle's Mill. I live on the right side, they say I wasn't in any ones.
Yeah.
But I think they're looking at that solely for your insurance purposes to see if you're in a 10 or a 9. And if you're in 10, you're more likely paying a higher premium than if you were in a 9. But as far as a district, where we're concerned as far as who's coming, Hurdle Mills and Roxborough's coming.
Correct. He's in our dispatch area.
Right.
It is a correct statement that he's not in a fire department district, because he's outside the 6 mile. But if he had something happen in his house, such as a structure fire, then it would be a full department response. Or first responders, it would be Person County EMS along with Hurricanes coming to the residence.
Mr. Poole, I appreciate your concerns. We'll take it into consideration. We are at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley Fletcher.
Good evening, gentlemen. Ms. York. My decision to speak was kind of a last-minute thing. I just jotted down some notes, so forgive me if I ramble. But first of all, I wanted to tell you guys that the fire departments right now are pretty much working off of a household budget. And even most households have had an increase in their budget within the last 12 years. The reason we're pushing so hard for a full fire tax is because we're trying to play catch-up. I've been with Timberlake 15 and a half years, but I've been around the fire service literally all my life. We've been behind for so long, and now it's time to catch up. It's not right to cut funds from other county agencies who need this money just as much as we do, which could possibly lead to a loss of jobs. That's not what we want. Right now, the biggest worry that the fire departments have is non-compliant gear and turnout gear and air bottles and air packs. I've seen my chief worry about not having compliant gear and air bottles. He has to make a decision on a structure fire if he's going to send that person into a fire with non-compliant gear and an air bottle that's out of date. Gentlemen, that's a decision that my chief and no chief in this room or in this county should have to make. As a captain with the department, that's not a decision I want to make on a structure fire. Am I going to send a person in to save somebody else, knowing that I'm risking the person that's like my family? Now I understand, as Mr. Rush alluded to, that this $100,000 that's part of the $1 million that you're giving us is supposed to come from appropriation that's going for turnout gear. Well, it's rolling into the $1 million that you're promising us. But where's this $100,000 going to come from next year? So let me just tell you guys, it's time to come off the boast of no tax increase for 12 years
2 minutes.
and give all the volunteer departments and the other county agencies in this county the money they deserve. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we'll have the against or in opposition to, and Ms. Rachel Warren. Please step to the podium and state your address, name and address. And we're going to follow the same guidelines, 2 minutes. I may extend a little bit.
Rachel Obie Winstead Warren, 1084 Bowmantown Road, Roxborough, North Carolina. And I'm not necessarily against funding the fire departments. I actually did not understand the fire tax. And so, therefore, I'm on that list. But I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. As I said, I'm not opposed to any volunteer fire department in this county. As a matter of fact, I served in the role of secretary for the Woodsdale Volunteer Fire Department at its inception. And not serving on that board now because I couldn't tolerate the cigarette smoke. And I felt like it was endangering my health, and so I felt like I needed to go home. But I'm very much in support of the Woodsdale Volunteer Fire Department and all the other fire departments in the county. I agree that the volunteer fire departments need to be fully funded, but I want to ask you, rather than adding another tax to the homeowners here in the county, I'd like to just offer you a recommendation. Why not consider assessing the homeowner's insurance by 1% to fund the volunteer fire departments? Out of all the homeowners in this county, and I'm not sure how many they are, do you know how many there are?
Just under 30,000.
Okay.
Thereabouts.
Okay. So if you assess 30,000 homeowners, 1%, or the insurance companies,
2 minutes.
1% from the homeowner's insurance, I think that would offset the expenses for the volunteer fire departments. Thank you very much.
James Coles.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's James Cole. I live at 33 Cole Circle, Timberlake. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am a retiree, and raising taxes when you're on a fixed income does concern me. I bought a piece of property up here in 1979, built a home, same home I've lived in for the last 38, 39 years. When I moved up here, my taxes were a little over $300. Now they're a little over $1,400. In fact, they're approaching $1,500. So if we add this tax, it puts it up more. When I first moved up here, I could pay my taxes out of 1 week's salary. Now it takes all my Social Security plus. Furthermore, if you pass this tax, and I'm not totally opposed to it, I want to make sure it's fair and equitable, and that when we do this, you know, we have a full accounting of public funds going to departments. So in other words, every department, when they agree to get this funding, they will open their books to an audit by either the county or an independent audit firm. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no one else on the public comment slates to speak. Are there any questions for staff or Mr. Jones before I ask for a vote to come out of public hearing?
We're not setting the rate. So the motion will be?
The motion will be just to accept a fire tax and not the rate.
Fire district.
Establish the fire districts. Russell, the 4 points you made earlier?
The 4 points would be, there's a need for providing the service in the district. That is impossible or impractical to provide the service on a countywide basis, which means you are providing on a countywide basis, excluding the city. It is economically feasible to provide the service without unreasonable burden to the taxpayers, and that there's a demand for the service. If you find all 4 of those are true, then there is a resolution in your packet that you could adopt tonight.
That would not set the fire tax, but it would set the resolution establishing it.
That is correct, Chairman. So once you adopt the resolution saying that we will have a fire tax, during your budget deliberations, you could decide what that rate would be. That rate theoretically could be 0, which in effect would make no fire tax, but you would have everything in place to do it. You could set the rate at a penny, you could set it to 10 pennies. That's part of your budget deliberation, not something you have to decide tonight. You are able to do that if you choose tonight, but it's not something you have to do tonight. The resolution is something you probably should consider if you feel that all 4 of those items from that.
Any further questions for staff or Russell?
Here.
Got a motion to come out of public hearing. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. We're out of public hearing. Item number 6, consideration to adopt a resolution establishing the Person County Fire Protection Service District.
So moved.
Got a motion to consider and adopt a resolution establishing a Person County Fire Protection Service District. Is there any further discussion?
I will just say I'm happily make this motion. I've served on the Person County Fire Chiefs Committee as this board's representative for 10 years. And when I first started going to the meeting back in 2009, the hot topic of concern was communications. We had departments out in the county that could not use their handhelds or would have dead zones and similar as what we experience on our cell phones. I think we've come a long way in trying to improve our communications with the 4 towers we've built around the county, because that was a safety issue, not only for the residents they were going to help, but for them as well as volunteering to put their life on the line. I've heard the funding concerns for the last 10 years from when I first got on this board. Obviously we were hit with the recession. We did a across-the-board cut to everybody. That included the volunteer fire departments. We have slowly ticked back up, but it has taken a while to get them to the point from where we cut them, and so now we're hearing the needs that we're sending these volunteers out in emergency situations, sometime with outdated equipment, with trucks from the 70s, and we all know that even though we haven't raised taxes in almost 12 years, the price of milk is not the same as it was 12 years ago, and that not only affects us in our personal lives, but it affects us when we're operating as a county. It affects them when they're operating their departments. And so I have from day one been a supporter of this fire tax, because when we look at what we are charged with as commissioners, public safety is number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffers. Any further comments? Okay, we got a motion on the table. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, public hearing, item number 7, fiscal year 2018-19 budget recommendations. Entertain a motion to go into public hearing. So moved. We got a motion to go into public hearing. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Staff? Is there any public comment?
There are no ones to sign up for
So since we're going into budget sessions, do we need to take any action with this? Okay.
Here.
Got a motion to come out of public hearing. Any further conversation? Comments? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Informal comments? No one signing up for informal comments. Item number 8, discussion and adjustment approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion or adjustment of the consent agenda? Got a motion on the table. Question.
The lottery funds that we're applying for on behalf of Person County School Board for painting. If we have not yet received the assessment study about the needs of the facilities, why would we request such a large amount of money to paint 2 schools?
Do you have any idea, Amy, what they're painting with that?
this is something the school board, you know, they make the request, they do the assessment. I don't know if they've really gotten results from that study. I don't think they have, but these are just needs that they determined that.
Was this in their capital request?
No, this
No,
is
this is
something
just something
separate.
separate.
Right, this is something,
Sorry?
Yeah, we're just basically the pass-through for that money.
That audit is a long-term, and it's not immediate. The painting would be an immediate problem.
I just wonder what the assessment would say, and if it says that we need to do something with some of these schools, why waste the money to paint one if we don't know if that school's going to be open a year, 2 years from now? That's why I asked. I thought we were closer in getting this assessment.
I've spoken with the superintendent, you know, he is working on getting something to us, so I believe he was sharing with his board and trying to get priorities, so I know that's being worked on.
Well, I'm not against it, but I would like that question answered, and you can get that as staff, and I appreciate that.
I'll do that for you.
Any further comments or concerns, adjustments of the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
There's a motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. No further comments. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Ayes have it. Chairman's report. At this time, I have nothing to report. Manager's report?
I would remind you, Commissioners, of our budget work sessions. The first one scheduled is for this Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. That will be up in the boardroom. Should you decide to hold another one, we are tentatively planning the following work session to be on the 13th. That would be the following Wednesday at 9 a.m. So this Wednesday is your first one. And if you have topics that you would like staff to come prepared to present, I need to hear from you ahead of Wednesday. Please.
Vice Chairman Powell?
No report.
Commissioner Jeffers?
We had a board of directors meeting for the National Association of Counties, and at that board meeting, I learned that through the U.S. Communities, it is basically a program that the National Association has for its member counties, which we are one, that they have special contracts for buying power. And some of the top big houses or big companies that you can purchase through them at a discounted rate, one was Home Depot and AutoZone. What I did learn was that also can go for nonprofits in that member county. So it's not just something that we can take advantage of. It may be something that the fire departments could take advantage of. I imagine they're doing a lot of oil changing and everything else. So AutoZone, Home Depot, and it's a couple other big box stores, and some local type facilities in our state as well. So I would like us to look into that and maybe get a list of those stores that and the contracted prices and see if we can save a little money by using them, and then kind of get those out to the fire departments or other nonprofits in the county that possibly could utilize them as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Clayton.
A couple of comments. One of them was that they had some EDC updates in Raleigh this week, and I think Commissioner Powell went to one of them. I went to another one that was separate from that because there was nobody else available to go at the time, and we promoted Person County as best we could on a statewide basis, and everybody over there seemed to know Stewart, and I want to thank him for what he has done, getting Person County's name out there, particularly with our mega site and with the other things that we're doing, trying to get more jobs and better things in here for the people of this county.
Warner?
That was it.
Okay, sorry. Commissioner Puryear.
Today I was at a farm in Granville County, and it was a horse farm, and discovered that they work with JCPC as a therapeutic resource. So I reached out to John Hill and a couple of other members of JCPC, and they said they were kind of lacking from those type of resources. So I'm reached out to him and asking if their board, if they're interested to come and visit that site and potentially use that as a resource.
First County Group Homes has something similar. Mike can use them as a resource as well. Out in the Leesburg area, they have a farm for therapeutic horses.
That's right. Well, I want to thank...
That's on the Preston County side.
I want to thank the Boy Scouts for coming out. Appreciate you guys doing the pledge for us. You guys actually had a lot to see tonight and basically went through fairly quickly. We're getting ready to go into closed session to discuss some things that can't be discussed in public forum. So thank you guys for coming. I want to thank the rest of the residents of Person County for coming in and voicing their concerns, the VFDs for being in here. Thank you for all your support. It's good to look out into the audience and see a full house. Thank you all for coming. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session number 1 to be held in the boardroom at room 215 per General Statute 143-318.11A4 for the purpose of discussing of matters related to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the county, as well as per General Statute 143-318.11A3 for the purpose to consult with the county attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege with the following individuals permitted to attend: County Manager Heidi York, Clerk to the Board Brenda Reeves, County Attorney Ron Aycock, Assistant County Manager Sybil Tate, IT Director Chris Puryear, and Consultant Joe Ferdesso.
So moved.
Got a motion to go into closed session. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? We'll take a 10-minute recess while we transfer up to the boardroom. Thank you.